If you could describe Billy Joe Saunders in one quick sentence, how would you do so?
A sexy motherfucker.
I'm gonna make sure he go right out the ring, and I might get on the top of the bucket or the rope and come down with a flying elbow kick. Who knows? Who knows?
Hope you get hit by a bus today, you fucking wanker.
Who the fuck is he talking about?
Oh, great shot! Left hand, right hand from Maxwell. Well, where did that come from? I can hardly believe what I've seen. An astonishing turnaround. He gets to his feet, and he stopped it! He stopped it!
And the first time was so nice, I had to do it twice.
Favor of Tyson Fury. And judge of ringside, Phil Edwards scores about 113 to 113. Even a draw. The decision is a split decision draw.
Ooh, how convenient.
They can say anything the fuck they want that I don't get.
I'm the Ken man. I'm more Mexican and the rule is he's a coward. He's all gut and no heart. Pussy.
Daniel Dibor, I am going to knock you out.
You ain't ready for me, and you never have been, you never will be. You all your knockout power and 10 men in that ring on the night can't beat Tyson Fury. I'm going to make you fuck yourself.
Oh, go on, man.
Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. We're talking all things boxing today. Canelo Alvarez sending offers to Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders, and both guys rejecting those offers per their own promoter, Eddie Hearn, and we're getting it via Dan Rayfield and Mike Cobbinger. And plus, Anthony Joshua, Pulev fight being sort of penciled in for June. And there's a current bidding war for where that fight's going to take place. Our UK correspondent, Rob's definitely going to be the expert on where that event should end up, where it should be. Cannot wait to dive into that topic because, as Rob knows, I like discussing locations for fights and where it should be. Like, I geek out about that shit. Plus, we have a lot of fight announcements and fight rumors. Josh Warrington signing to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and leaving Frank Warren after Frank Warren just signed Daniel Dubois to a 5-year contract. A lot to get into on today's show. Hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff. But let's go out to, as I said earlier, our UK correspondent, Mr. Robbie Hearns, second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, big come up on the family this yesterday, man. Way to go. Great signing.
La 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 la, we are so proud.
Copyright.
I can't sing the leads bit. It's just against my nature. So but yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. Hit that thumbs up. Yeah, big news all around. You know, yesterday it just suddenly came up. Warrington leaves Frank Warren. I'm like, oh damn. Then I'm like, oh, it's going to be top rank, right? They'll get that Stevenson fight done nice and easy. And then about two minutes later, it was like Eddie Hearn, ecstatic to announce, and, you know, Josh Warrington returning to Matchroom. So, yeah, crazy times. And then now we've got this Canelo news and offers for Smith and Saunders. Smith apparently turning it down. Joe Gallagher calling bullshit. Dan Rayfield calling bullshit on Joe Gallagher. Says, well, you better speak to Eddie Hearn because he's the one that's turned it down. By the way, Matt, I've sent the full story on there with actual quotes from Eddie.
Yes. I'm going to try to pull up as we're getting to you guys.
Okay, but yeah, so yeah, smash the thumbs up. Plenty to talk about. And yeah, Gary, how you doing, man?
Good. I don't have a sound bite or an introductory like you do. We need to get a deep in the heart of Texas sound bite.
No. Gary, you can get a soundboard and get your own sound bites just like Rob does.
Okay.
Off his Beatles music and whatever that is.
Beatles? It's just a football song. Come on now.
Like playing a song by a New Yorker about American president's daughter at British sporting events, because that makes sense.
Ooh, am I getting the Sweet Caroline debate to start off the show and alienate half our audience, Gary?
I'm just going to have to download that one because every time you slate Sweet Caroline, I'm pressing the soundbite. It's just gonna say, Sweet Caroline.
And Matt's got big where Matt was approved to be at the Ryan Garcia fight, which is big news that he's still on speaking terms with Golden Boy. So that's that's good news.
It is good news, Gary. I am happy that we at MCR are credentialed for the Ryan Garcia fight tomorrow. I would have liked for more than 24 hours notice, but hey, these things happen in boxing. And like you said, glad that we are on speaking terms.
Do you know his fighters' names, Matt? Do you know his fighters' names?
I know. You know what? I do, and sometimes, not all the times, because it's still me, right? Like it's me. I mispronounce names all the time. I can pronounce his fighters' names probably better than he can, but that's beside the point. Let's get into a lot of topics today because we without further ado, let's get into the news of the day because there's a lot to get into. I saw somebody saying that they missed the Daniel Dubois news about his 5-year deal. Check out our last show if you want. I know we discussed that on the last show, I'm pretty sure. But digressing, let's get to the news of the day. And Rob, I haven't had time to read this article yet because it literally just came from Dan Rayfield. But let's first get to the initial reports from Dan Rayfield and Mike Coppinger to set the story up. First up, Dan Rayfield. I think this was, an hour or two ago? I know right there it says a minute ago, but that's when I pulled it up. It's been a while now, probably an hour and 30 minutes ago. Golden Boy CEO Oscar De La Hoya tells ESPN that super middleweight world titleist Callum Smith turned down an offer to face Canelo Alvarez in at super middleweight on May 2nd. Quote, Callum Smith turned down the fight and he would have made 3 or 4 times the money he has ever made, and he turned it down. I wish him all the best, and hopefully he can make the money somewhere else. He's bragging how he wants to fight the best, and he turns it down. What's wrong with these fighters? End quote. Mike Coppinger reporting, because somebody asked about a rehydration clause per this, and Mike Coppinger said a rehydration clause hasn't been broached by Golden Boy in talks so far, and he adds that sources Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith each received offers from Golden Boy for a May 2nd super middleweight title bout with Canelo Alvarez on DAZN. Both offers were deemed unacceptable by their respective teams, and negotiations are ongoing. Also adding, if terms with Canelo can't be reached, it's believed Eddie Hearn will look to match Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith in a 168-pound title unification match in the early summer in the UK. Joe Gallagher, I don't have this up, but Joe Gallagher refutes this report, and then Dan Rayfield came back with, look, your own fighter's promoter turned down the fight, and he confirmed it to me. Rob, have you had a chance to read the article yet? Because I haven't had a chance to read the article. Are there any interesting quotes from Eddie Hearn in there that we need to read off?
Let me get it up and read it out for the peoples.
I'm gonna skim it really fast.
That's okay. Yeah.
Really quickly, I found it. Hearn told ESPN, here it is, from Dan Rayfield. Hearn told ESPN he did not receive an offer for the fight from Golden Boy, quote, that we didn't accept. But Hearn said Smith of England, who has made 2 successful title defenses since winning the belt from George Groves, blah, blah, wants to fight Alvarez, but only for the right deal. Quote, we turned down the initial offer, but of course, it's the fight that Callum wants next, Hearn said. If we feel the offer is right, he will jump at the chance, end quote. And then there's some more quotes from Oscar De La Hoya that, again, I have not had the time to really read yet. But again, Eddie Hearn confirming this, reporting from Dan Rayfield and Mike Coppinger. Guys, I don't know who wants to jump in there first, but thoughts on Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith rejecting the initial offers from Canelo? Is that a sign that those fights are most likely not going to happen now? Is it a sign that those are the front runners and we're probably going to get more just continuation of the negotiation? And one of those guys is the guy. Thoughts on all of this? I don't know who wants to jump in. Rob, Gary? Rob,
this is your countryman.
2/3 of them are.
Yeah. Whereas none of them are yours.
That's true.
Although you accept him as one of your right. I know. He's the biggest star in America.
He's adopted.
Yeah, I was surprised. Initially, I thought Oscar was out there being Oscar. I know he said Billy Joe wasn't a front runner. I don't even know where that came from. He's been out here lately, I guess, trying to promote. I don't know. He's just not very good at it. just some of the interviews he's done are a bit like I don't know, whatever. It's Oscar, but yeah, then it's backed up with reports from journalists, and it's like, oh, cool. Then I started to think, oh, is there going to be like one of these Canelo weight clauses in there and some A-side bullshit? But it is what it is. If you're going to fight a Canelo, you do what the paymaster says, I guess. You know what I mean? He's like, if you want to fight me, you do what you're told. But then Joe Gallagher's like, what a load of bollocks, tagged everybody involved, even John Skipper and everyone like that. And what offer? I'm sure it's news to @Canelo team. And then Dan's come back and said, well, kind of like, you better go and chat with Eddie, because I'm telling you now, Joe Gallagher is fucking raging, because if he doesn't know anything about it, or I don't know. But I'm sure if the offers have come out, Eddie just hasn't point blank refused, unless he's been given like a certain figure or something like that from the respective fighters, that if it's anything less than that, then don't even bother fucking telling me, you know, just will accept this and anything above. But so I don't know, but I'm sure Eddie just isn't flat refusing turning down offers without consulting their teams, you know. It must be a joint decision.
Well, first off, like I told you off air, Joe Gallagher is a trainer, like, and he's the Freddie Roach, Teddy Atlas of trainers in the UK. He's that version over there for you guys. And what I mean by that is he's one to talk a lot, either out on social media, to media, period, more than the average trainer, because trainers usually aren't involved in the negotiation of fights. Actually, most trainers will tell you, I'm not involved in the negotiation, so I don't have anything to tell you. Managers and promoters are the ones innately, and including agents, are innately involved in the negotiation of contracts, not trainers. And I think that Eddie Hearn definitely talked to Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders' respective management, and they all confirmed that this wasn't the right offer to accept, and they're going back for a second offer, as you do in big multi-million-dollar deals. So I don't think it's an issue of like Eddie Hearn circumventing anyone's team. No, anyone that is important in that negotiation was probably informed. Joe Gallagher is just not that person, and trainer
is. He's Callum Smith's manager.
He is actually Callum Smith's manager.
Yeah, he's his trainer manager. He's got an advisor who's like specializes in sports law and stuff like that. I'm just on his page now. Promoter is Eddie.
Joe Gallagher's just full shit. He's on social media lying like that, just point blank. You have reporters confirming this. You have Eddie Hearn confirming it. Joe Gallagher is just full shit. I thought he was just the trainer. He was involved in negotiation, and therefore he was talking out of his ass because that happens. No, he's just lying. Cool. But I don't think
it's a case of like, don't want no one out here thinking Callum's ducking.
Of course. No. I understand why he's lying. I'm not saying fight like trainers, managers, promoters, fighters, they all lie. Like that's not an indictment on him as a character or anything like that. No, it's just that he lied in this scenario. But to the question, I've seen a lot of people say of like Eddie Hearn full out rejecting this. No, this is a negotiation process. So I assume one of these guys is still going to be the fighter on May 2nd, because I think that's the Saturday for Cinco de Mayo. Gary, why don't you jump in here and give your thoughts on this entire scenario? Canelo and his team offering two offers to Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith, respectively. Their team rejecting it. Joe Gallagher's mixing in here, saying that this isn't true, but everyone else saying it is true. Thoughts on this all?
I think it's Callum Smith. I think that's why Oscar outed that name. I think that's the fight they want to make. And again,
or is it to make
Billy Joe
jump at it?
It could be that. He went out with, because if Callum Smith snaps back now and said, I'll accept an offer here. Here's the terms that I want, right? Or this is how bad the offer is. It's public now, right? Like, I think it's Callum Smith because they outed Callum Smith because they want that fight. And Rob, you're better fit to answer this question. Who's a bigger draw in the UK? I know Billy's probably more popular, but he's also more hated, right? So, like, who's a bigger draw? What's a bigger fight, would you say?
Who's the biggest draw? Even if you took them both to their hometowns, I would lean Callum Smith. Probably just. I don't know.
Well, Smith's a little bit bigger, you would say, right? But pretty comparable.
Yeah, they're not huge draws, or obviously Billy's more of a air quotes personality than Callum, but
in a good way, right? I think that's all. All attention is good attention, I suppose. But Billy's a piece of work, man. I think Saunders has a great skill. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't want to have to work with him either. I think there's a reason why Saunders doesn't get a ton of big fights, and it's because he's probably difficult to work with. Is my guess.
What? No.
You don't think so? Oh, you're being sarcastic.
Yes,
I don't know. But yeah, I think this is just. So it's like we've got initial first offers kind of being publicized. It's not like this. Like there's been no sort of back and forth yet, and it's it's coming out real early. And
this happened with Kovalev. I mean, like,
yeah.
Like this happens with big fights. You always hear like the initial offers get rejected or something, and you hear promoters go to the media and then angle for public leverage to go back to the negotiation room and leverage the contract out. I mean, it's just how it's done. And I know some fans, maybe some UK fans are like perhaps upset at Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders. Like, you guys have to take this fight. Like, our honors on the line in a way. Like, you have to take this one. Like, this is the big fight. But to argue on their side to reject it, if they can get $5 million and then jump up to $7 million, then they are absolutely deserving of rejecting that first offer.
Yeah, and I wanted to put that out there, right? Like, so this is obviously going to be the.
Quickly, I just threw out those numbers just to throw out numbers. I don't think that's what they're being offered.
But the point is, like, this is going to be the biggest fight of Callum Smith or Billy Joe's career at this point, right? So they're going to go in and lowball Billy Joe or Callum Smith and say, "Hey, it's more than you made your last fight." And they're going to say, "Yeah, but look at the total pot in this fight, right? It takes two to make a dance. So you're going to pay me, and you're going to pay me better than this." And you know what I'm saying? It's just that dance,
And also with the DAZN inflation of the market, that is another added aspect to the negotiation with a Canelo fight. It's no longer like the big fight you have to negotiate that. It's now the DAZN money attached to it that's going to jump up your purse even more so. Look at Kovalev. He made $10 million.
Danny Jacobs, like 12 to 15 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith, you're looking at what those guys made allegedly or reportedly, which was 10 to 15 million. Again, allegedly or reportedly. I forget which one was alleged or reported. You're looking at that and say, I want that number. And Golden Boy and DAZN aren't going to offer you that number up front. So, like, I see some people like throwing up red flags about all this. Relax. It's okay. Like, this is very normal.
That's what I was saying. Like with it coming out now, it's like, but in this occasion, it seems people are like, "Oh, there must be a rehydration clause," or "That's it. Callum Smith's just lost the fight. He's not going to get it." No, this is kind of how it works. It's all coming out across social media.
And as Gary pointed out, I would not be surprised if this was in a way by Oscar to try to downplay Callum Smith's leverage publicly.
Yeah, he said like he's an idiot, and if people want to make idiotic in that Dan Rayfield, he's saying if people want to make idiotic decisions, that's up to them. But this is the biggest fight against the biggest star in world boxing, etc., etc. I wonder if it's all been lost in translation because Oscar sent the offer by direct message on Instagram.
Not touching that. Roll job there, Rob. And last point I really wanted to just reiterate, because we made this point a lot. There's reportedly no rehydration clause in these offers. I still see a lot of people bringing up rehydration clause. Look, there wasn't. If you're going to believe these reporters when they have these promoters on record talking about rejecting the offer, I assume they are the people they're getting the information from when it comes to the rehydration clause information. So, like, relax, people. And again, not saying there won't be one in the future. The governor said so far, but there wasn't one in these current offers. So let's be factual here when we want to, I don't know, shit on Canelo for being like a weight bully when he's at 168 now as a 5'8" dude. Okay. Go for it, man.
It's not exactly a weight bully. That's saying, don't you become a weight bully.
Yeah.
You stay close to what I'm going to be weighing, please. That's not necessarily weight bullying as in the traditional sense. That's don't you going all fucking cruiserweight on me, Callum, when you fucking fuel up. I don't know. Would it be these are the this is the money? Do you want the fight? And then they go, yeah, right. There's a weight clause. Or surely they must bring up if there is going to be one.
I would not assume it's a first order issue. Like the first order issue when it comes to that sort of contract would be the money. Second order would probably be location. Third order would probably be like TV network. Where is it going to be distributed? Then you probably get to like the very fine details of like weight clauses, something like that. Certain gloves.
You get all that way. You get all that way, and they go say, "Yep, I'm fine. Yeah, I'll come to Vegas. Yeah, that money's great. Yep. Oh, by the way, you're not allowed to gain more than 10 pounds."
I would assume if I'm looking at a line item of those issues, that's at the bottom, if it's in the initial offer, because it's not the in this scenario for sure, it's not the most important factor. If I'm Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders, I don't really care about a rehydration clause. First off, they're hardly ineffective because you're weighing at 8 a.m. on the fight day anyways. You have all fucking day to rehydrate still. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing you lose is that initial 8 to 12 hours after you weigh in to rehydrate. You only lose that much. We still have a full 12 hours to eat and rehydrate from the second day weigh-in to your fight, especially if you're a main eventer who's fighting late in the night. So, if I'm confident that's not a first-order issue, second-order issue, or third-order issue. It's money, TV, and location. Now, maybe again, to bring it back to this specific fight and this specific contract, not generally speaking here, just the specifics, because they are along the lines of network and locations all probably agreed upon beforehand because it's Vegas, Cinco de Mayo. I don't think Callum Smith and Eddie Hearn are pushing for a UK showdown. That rehydration clause might bump up to more of a priority in the negotiation and be more of an upfront topic. But it's not an initial one. Money is the first thing that's brought up, guaranteed.
Shout out Clarissa Shields. She's tweeted, quote tweeting like the news, saying, "Now this is a shocker. They have to try and lowball Smith. That dude isn't ducking Canelo. I don't believe that."
Watch all of the UK fans now say that Clarissa Shields is amazing.
The best around.
Gary,
real quick. Matt's right. Like when they say like they have the same day weigh-in, that's not like when HBO shows you what they weighed in unofficially at. This is something that the commission does at 8 o'clock in the morning. So really, if you do a weigh-in at 1 o'clock at night and you have a 10-pound rehydration clause, let's say, right? You can go from 168 to 178, go to sleep, wake up at 8 o'clock, weigh in at 178, and then put on 10 more pounds, right? So the rehydration clause is kind of silly, right? Because that's still not what you're stepping into the ring at, potentially not even close. And I think that gets overlooked, right? Because when HBO was the first one to really say this is what they weigh, they weighed them when they got unofficially, like on their scales when they walked into the venue. That's hours, 10 hours later, potentially 12 hours later from what they weighed in at the rehydration clause with the commission. So, yeah, I always thought like those rehydration clauses were like silly, kind of,
I largely think that, unless it's like you're talking about, like, let's say a Sean Porter, you're making him to fight at a catch rate already, and then you're adding a rehydration clause on top of it. Then it gets a little bit egregious because you make him come down in weight more than he usually does, and then adding a rehydration clause on top of it. That's when it becomes more of an issue, so to speak, because the IBF already has all of their championship fights have second day weigh-ins where you can't weigh over that. Was it 10% or 15%? So it's already kind of a norm for 25% of championship boxing fights if you think about it in that context. But any last thoughts on this, guys? Because we've been talking about this for a while. Canelo, Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders. It seems like we're all in agreement that Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders are still the front runners, even with this news. And this news actually might be a confirmation that they are the front runners.
Right. If you had to pick right now, who would you think is going to be his May 2nd dance partner? I would say Callum Smith.
it's almost a coin flip between these two, honestly. Because every week it seems like it does switch to a degree. Like 51% to Callum Smith and 49% Billy Joe Saunders in Oscar's eyes and Canelo's eyes, and then the next week it's no 51% of us wants to fight Callum Smith now instead of Billy Joe, and now the next week it's Billy Joe instead of Callum Smith.
To me, it seems like Rob kind of confirmed that like the pot is probably the same size with either fighter. So who's ever willing to take the short end of the stick will get the fight. Like who's ever willing to take short money will get it.
I do feel though, if the rehydration clauses will be an issue for Billy Joe. He said he wants a fair fight. Everything, just
But a rehydration clause,
you beat me, but just let's have everything fair, huh?
But a rehydration clause does go both ways. Just, I mean, theoretically, it would still be fair. Like Canelo can't weigh more, and it's not like Billy Joe's a big super middleweight. He's a middleweight that moved up into a little bit chubby now.
I'm just saying. He said no. He's on interviews.
I know he said that, but I'm saying it's a little bit illogical of him to do that because it's still fair with the rehydration clause because Canelo still is under the rehydration clause, and I would assume so. Maybe you know what? I'll ask Oscar tomorrow. Like not, I'm asking a general perspective with rehydration clauses with Canelo. Does he also under that jurisdiction or
just when there is one? Does he have to fall under that as well?
Rehydration clause to me, and if I just look at him, I don't know what they weigh today, but like Billy Joe is 5'11" and pretty solidly put together. I would guess he walks around more than at a higher weight than Canelo does. I mean, I don't know that. I'm just using the eye test. So that seems like the rehydration clause would more negatively affect him, if anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like an odd request. You know what I'm saying? It's like Barry Bonds saying, I demand everyone take a steroid test. Like, well, that's going to affect you more than anyone, but okay. It's a weird request. That's all.
Agreed. And somebody in the chat is really mad about my Twitter rants about Gervonta Davis abusing women and saying that I don't do about Kovalev. Dude, like
that's true. Yeah.
Dude, look, we have Kovalev later on in the show. You can wait till we talk about dipshit Kovalev, dirtbag Kovalev, as Gary calls him. He calls him dirtbag all the time. Check our video section on YouTube, dude. Like at the very top of our YouTube page, feature videos. Hit that so you can see more because we did it a while ago when the news came out, and we have videos on his assault case. See my thoughts about Story Kovalev, and then come back here, please.
Which I say, class act. And Matt, that's sarcasm, by the way.
Yeah, he's gonna think that's real though. He's gonna think that's real. He doesn't understand like actual human emotion. Moving on. Let's get to some other super star news. Anthony Joshua, guys. Anthony Joshua, per Lance Pugmire, officials tell The Athletic that the target date for Anthony Joshua Kubrat Pulev is June 20th at either Tottenham or Arsenal stadiums in the UK. Bidding war underway. Ooh. And terms are effectively agreed upon. Also, I think it was Dan Raphael. Yes, Dan Raphael reporting as well. Unified heavyweight title list, Anthony Joshua's mandatory defense versus Kubrat Pulev, which is close to being finalized, will take place. He has another date, June 13th or June 20th in London. So it's going to be interesting to see which date gets that. But he also confirmed that there's a bidding war between Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and Arsenal Stadium. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, Rob? Am I doing a good job?
Arsenal, yes.
Asshole, man. Get out.
Tottenham Hotspur, yeah. Just call them Spurs. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Now, Rob, I want your thoughts on this. Because obviously both venues are in London. I that was news to me. I didn't know where the Spurs play in England. I didn't know that. Found it odd. And then when Rob told me there's 6 teams in the Premier League all in London, I was like, damn. London has a monopoly on the Premier League, it seems. But digressing from that, thoughts on this bidding war for Joshua Pulev? Which venue should it be in? And also, like for us Yanks over here, a brief maybe like brand reputation for these stadiums. Because, for example, for us in LA, we have Angels and Dodgers, 2 huge baseball teams play in the greater LA area. The brand reputation of the Dodgers, it's a blue-collar stadium for blue-collar people. Angel Stadium for the white-collar people, and that's that's the reputation that those stadiums have. The blue collars one's way more exciting, way more. The atmosphere is better always, and the other one has better parking because they pay for better parking. Rob, again, thoughts on these stadiums, the bidding war? What stadium would be the best one for this fight? Because I am largely ignorant on location, events and stadiums in the UK.
Well, Spurs Stadium is pretty much brand new. I think it's the first season of using it. And Arsenal's is fairly new. That's been around only a few years as well. But Adam Smith is hell-bent on having this at Spurs because he said he had a tour of it. It's like the most like high-tech, state-of-the-art facility. I don't know if he meant like in the world or like in the UK currently. It's like amazing. It really does look fantastic. So that would be something. Let's be honest, when the ring is in the middle of the pitch and it's full of seating and the crowd's full, it's gonna just look like your common average normal stadium fight, as we seem to have got very used to over here. So I don't know where this bidding wars come from. It's a bit to London Stadium is bidding for it. It's crazy because Wembley is out of the picture because of the what is it, European Championships, the soccer European Championships. So Wembley's going to be used for that. So I would want to lean towards the Spurs Stadium just because it'll be a big event in the brand new shiny state-of-the-art stadium. It'll be pretty official. I think it'll lend itself to I don't know, like good production, and it would look fantastic, I think. But it's close to being announced, I feel. So
a lot of
Bob Arum tweeted that as well, right? Close to an announcement.
Yes. I assume we're playing an announcement within the next week or so. A lot of people in the chat from the UK are saying that Tottenham is a newer stadium built last year, basically. Arsenal stadium is a much older stadium, over a decade old. Stadium
shit.
2006, somebody said it was built.
Wow, I thought it was a bit fresher than that. I didn't realize it was.
So I want it to be in Hotspur because that sounds like it could be in Texas. So I like that place.
It does sound like it could definitely be like a southwestern location.
Or Arsenal. Everyone in Texas has got a fucking litany of guns. Could be Arsenal, right?
Hotspur sounds
less aggressive.
I guess that's in Texas. I would never guess that was in London. But what I wanted, just let's get this fight over with. Like, I get it. It's not the worst fight in the world on, like, in theory. Like, Pulev's a top 10 guy. I think Pulev's pretty good, but he's going to lose, and it's not going to be an entertaining fight. And let's just get it over with. Let's just make this as soon as possible. I'm for whoever wants to put this fight first and get it done with as quickly as possible.
Somebody calling you out, Raw, for calling a football stadium a soccer stadium. Guys, Rob is a fake British dude. He's not. That's
I'm not. I'm just too fucking.
Dude lives in Chicago.
Yeah, it blew all my hair out. No, I'm just too much around these fucking idiots. I have to dumb down so they understand me. You know what I mean? It's all right, Britain. You know I got you.
And another point that's totally unrelated to what we're talking about. Let's be honest. Gary, who did Lord Jacob in the chat? And speaking of the chat, Real Nija Chick is in the chat. And Nija, I got a new soundboard. I don't have my air horns, but I would be playing air horns for you coming back to the show. Real Nija Chick in the chat, longtime supporter and listener. But Gary, who did Lord Jacob compare you to?
Oh, Danny Aiello. If you don't know who that is, he had a real small role in The Godfather Part 2, but he was in the Spike Lee movie, but the pizzeria, Do the Right Thing. He was Sal, the pizza owner in Do the Right Thing.
Somebody calling you Silent Bob in the chat.
Me?
Yes, I can see it. You look a little bit like Kevin Smith.
Okay.
The skinny Kevin Smith now, not the fat Kevin Smith, obviously.
Well, yeah, I get 6 months ago I would have been the fat Kevin Smith, but now I mean,
Gary, you should be honored though. Okay, Kevin Smith is an awesome dude. Danny Aiello is like a phenomenal Italian actor. I'm compared to the guy that did the Catfish show. Okay, all the time. Okay, like you should be honored.
I didn't want to say that, but my wife said that. Like
Everyone, bro, everyone does it. It's become to the point where like I just laugh it off. But still, yours is far better. I would much rather be compared to Kevin Smith than that dude from Catfish.
I'll take either one of them, Kevin Smith or Danny Aiello. I'll take either one of them. I mean, Danny Aiello passed away like a couple months ago. He's like 90 years old or something like that. Yeah, he was real old. So I mean, I don't think I look that old. I mean, I don't look like I'm Rob's age or anything, but I'll take Danny Aiello.
Wait.
People
Radio Raheem was on Joe Rogan podcast. What the fuck?
No way.
Yeah. Radio Raheem. Thank you, Joe Rogan. Being a guest on your show was a wonderful experience.
Or Radio Raheem from boxing. Because we were just talking about the Spike Lee movie. The character in that movie's name was Radio Raheem.
No, not that Radio Raheem.
Not the real Radio.
I don't think he follows me, Gary.
Radio Raheem, like.
That's weird. I mean, of all the boxing people to pick, he's the guy?
Yeah.
Really? The guy that never offers his own opinion, but only interviews people. Huh. You asked him to be on an opinion show. Weird. Just odd. It just doesn't make sense. Moving on, because that just is going to bother me. Fox's Inside Wilder versus Fury 2 replay averaged 767,000 viewers, proving again that DAZN sucks and Fox is better. Right, Rob?
Yeah, if you want.
Just want to troll people. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Because someone's out there saying, hey, this promo for Wilder Fury did more views than Canelo versus Jacobs in the U.S.
Mental, isn't it? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I had a guy today, they were talking about the whole Charlo and Andrade thing. And he said, Al isn't sending someone over to fight on an app with only 350,000 people watching. And I'm like, so you wanted to fight on Showtime where he had 250,000 watching his last fight? And I'm like, so DAZN has 100,000 more people are going to be watching. They're not going to be watching Andrade. It just went crazy. But yeah, I don't know. Troll away, Matt. It's fine.
I like trolling. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll do this. The promotion for Wilder Fury 2 definitely has been picking up here in the States. I like to see it. I mean, anytime I turn on ESPN now, like I see it either on the ticker, I get an ad, I get a promo for it. So that's great to see. I'm like, we were kind of worried. I was especially worried, I would say, when the promotion started, because it didn't seem like all parties were working together. It didn't seem like there was a clear plan with the promotion. Clearly there is now, and I think it is working. I'm definitely curious to see how this does. Because I have my casual friends who watch again 1 or 2 fights a year, trying to ask me for free tickets because they think I can do that. I have to tell them every big fight, no, you don't understand my job. That's not how it works. And but come on, just give me a free ticket. I'm like, no, sorry. But that's a good sign. If I have random friends that don't watch really boxing, but they're talking about, hey, we're going to go to that Wilder fight in Vegas.
I'm sure that comes.
Stop, Rob. You have to be a high roller to get comps in Vegas.
Very quick. I'm not.
Ugas fight in Mississippi. They would have gave tickets away to anyone.
No one making it rain with tickets.
No, not.
I don't want it. Get it off. Keep that shit away from me. Gary just with his mouth open. No.
You guys tickets, give them to me.
I'm honestly not feeling the buzz for it. I don't know. I think
there's no buzz in the UK for it right now.
There probably is, and I'm probably being called a hater, but I'm just not feeling it. Legit, there was that cracking promo that BT put out with the
right.
Yeah, I mean, I saw people in America saying, "Wow, what a promo! This should have been in a Super Bowl. This would have been, this is fire. This is great," and it is really well done. And I think Adam Cattrall of Fight Disciples made a real great point of this. The fact this is on BT, he was actually discussing this as far as Dubois Joyce and should they have made that a pay-per-view or not. Now, obviously the money side of it's one thing, but the fact that BT doesn't have like a rolling news channel, like Sky Sports has got a 24/7 like news channel, and they can just feed this, pump this into your mind, like you're saying with the ticker on the thing, and or that it can, like that. Look at that, hit that button and subscribe.
You reminded me.
Yeah. I thought you were going to don't forget to buy Wilder Fury 2, doing your bit for the cause.
Don't put that narrative out there. People think I'm actually bought by PBC, and that's hilarious.
Well, you do kind of lean that way.
Because you do. You lean the opposite way. And Gary,
I'm just straight down the line, no bias.
Any bias toward Texas fighters at all?
Gary.
All right. So yeah, that's where I think maybe it's lacking, because it's not like really getting pumped, like, because it's BT that have got the fight. It's not like it's being pumped, and unless you're following their social media and their YouTube channel, it's not.
How many? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. How many like subscribers or homes is BT in?
I'll check, but very quickly, what might help it is tonight. I don't know if it's a weekly or it's going to run consecutive evenings, but 9 p.m. So it's obviously finished now, but Tyson Fury documentary, basically living with Tyson Fury on ITV. So that's going to be a real push. I can't remember the name of it, like Living with the Gypsy King or something. A real get to know the real Tyson. But let me check on BT.
I wonder if they're going to cover his whole, the gays are going to bring about Armageddon. I wonder if they're going to cover that part of his life.
I don't know. I missed it.
Yeah, it was right before and after Klitschko. Very fun times. Because obviously I know Sky's, and to circle back to the question asking you about BT and Holmes and how many subscribers it has. Just curious, because obviously Sky is thought of as this monolith of British TV. Just curious in terms of comparison, because obviously we all know the US numbers in terms of like Fox. How many homes does Fox have? Around 110, 120 million at this point, constantly growing. Showtime's in 33 million homes, 34 million homes, I want to say. ESPN, last time I checked, was 87 million?
I was gonna say 90, yeah.
I know they dropped, and they've been dropping for a while, but and obviously we know ESPN Plus numbers at 7.5 million?
Pretty good. 7.5 million people have that dopey app.
And it sucks. It's so bad. It's so bad.
I like to go back and watch all the 30 for 30s on it.
That's true. It is nice. But Gary, thoughts on the Wilder Fury 2 promotion? Do you think it's been successful so far? Do you think it's been good? Thoughts?
I think the promotion is good. I think this is going to do a big number. I really do. I said 600. And Matt was like, I might be off, but I don't think I'm going to be laughably off, right? I think with I might have been aggressive, because when I first said that, why did I say that? That's such a big number. I think this is going to do well. I think that they're pushing it. We're 2 weeks out, right? Well, less than 2 weeks out now, a week and a half out. Yeah. We're getting close. But the only thing,
is it next week?
It's a week. Yeah, it's next Saturday. Now
so it's not a week and a half. It's a week away.
A week out. It's already.
They'll be weighing in tomorrow. A week tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, Rob, that's not true.
No. BT Sport 1, which is the main BT Sport, reached roughly 8 million viewers, up from 6.6 viewers in the previous.
So that's not that much. So your point about it's BT, like the presence of it's very low. You're right, Rob. That's obviously true. I didn't think it was that little.
Let me look up Sky.
Matthew D'Souza saying Sky's been around since 1992. BT Sports since 2012. I didn't think it was that recent. I thought BT Sports been around longer than that.
So prior to that, Frank Warren, Queensberry, who televised?
Fox Nation. Remember? Yeah.
Frank Warren had a Sky. It was on Sky originally.
Yeah, but for probably the earlier mid aughts, the 2010s, that was all Box Nation. They didn't have the BT deal till the Box Nation deal or network started tanking, what, 2014, 15, I want to say was when that started happening. Maybe like 2016, we had Frank Warren go to BT. I want to say it was when that happened. I could be wrong on the year by a year or two. But it's only recently that Frank Warren and Queensberry have actually been on BT. And I mean, they didn't even start off with 2012 when BT opened up. You know, they weren't on that. I know the UFC was on it back then.
In article 25th of January 2018, Sky Sports had 23 million subscribers.
Yeah, you're talking about 3 times the subscriber base. That's massive. That's massive.
The broadcaster also recorded some 20 million pay-as-you-go buys for its channels.
You know, you're talking
really dip out.
You're talking about like the same divide from Showtime to ESPN. That's its audience base. You know, 80 plus million, 30 plus million. It's around the same. Moving on, guys. Let's get to the Josh Warrington news. Speaking of Frank Warren and Matchroom. Josh Warrington parting ways with Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions. Oh, why did I do that? There we go. Fixed it. I want to say Jake Donovan was the initial one to report this. And then obviously Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, everyone confirmed this, saying a stag to welcome the #1 featherweight in the world, Josh Warrington, back to Matchroom Boxing. Big things ahead. Let's go. Sky Sports Boxing. Blah, 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 blah. I'm of the mindset, guys, just to give my opinion off the bat and then go into your guys' opinion. This is obviously a very smart move by Josh Warrington to get to the larger brand, larger promotion, larger network. You know, the larger machine is obviously Matchroom Sky, that conglomerate at this point in time. And also, I'm not going to say he has more options with Sky and Matchroom, because I don't know if that's innately true, because the working relationship between Queensberry Promotions and Top Rank was a seemingly funnel for those fighters to fight each other quite often. And that's why we were talking about big fights happening between Shakur Stevenson or even Josh Warrington moving up and fighting Jamel Herring or Miguel Burchell. You know, other fights in the Top Rank Queensberry Promotions pseudo relationship. That's seemingly off the table. But I think it's still ultimately a smart move by Josh Warrington to go to the bigger machine that's going to promote him better than where he's currently at. He, however, I shouldn't say he, Shakur Stevenson, however, has been out there saying that this should be easier to make the fight. I've seen a lot of people say that it should be easier to make the fight. I guess if you want to look at it from a pure monetary perspective, that DAZN, in theory, is throwing out more cash than ESPN. So therefore, in theory, a Josh Warrington, Shakur Stevenson fight, DAZN can throw more money at it than ESPN and BT. I get that. However, I do think the added now, divide of your DAZN fighter in the US with the ESPN fighter, that's a hurdle to get past in the negotiation that wasn't previously there. I think that does sort of even out the discussion of does this make the Shakur Stevenson fight that's been talked about for months now easier? Probably not. Probably evens out to it's still the same because it's, you can throw more money at the fight, but now the fight has network divides that wasn't previously there. Rob, I know you want to jump in. Thoughts on Josh Warrington moving to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom again? And reminding me, because I forget, when did he leave to Frank Warren? I was trying to remember that.
About 4 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, so Eddie's been out there saying how they kind of built him to the point, and then there was the separation, and then Frank Warren then kind of capitalized on what he had, and then landed him the big fight. So Eddie was like, I was watching the fight against Selby. I said, yeah, but he won't beat Selby, and then fair play, well done. And then Frampton, yeah, but he won't get past Frampton. Oh, okay, yeah, well done, great job. Like shit, I missed out on all these big nights, but there's plenty more big nights ahead. And as far as Stevenson, I think we'll probably see a deal maybe get made, like similar to Lomachenko Campbell, because that was Sky Sports pay-per-view and ESPN. It wasn't like it has to be DAZN, so I think it could still work out similar. Josh Warrington in a unification here.
Like that, it's not like this fight can't happen now, but
No,
it's
no.
a hurdle. It is a hurdle to get past that wasn't there.
Yeah, but I think that hurdle isn't such a big, because we've seen it. It isn't like, no, but we want it on DAZN, and well, no, we want it on ESPN, and this whole, talks have fallen flat because of this network. I think for the right fight, Bob will get his fight on his network, and Sky will get it on theirs, and DAZN, I'm sure.
I wanted to.
Well, kind of, yeah, but I feel like it's kind of like the gamble. Ramirez was sent over to DAZN. He came, and how did Bob say it? We came, we took the belt, we took Eddie's money. Yeah, he's really fucking smart, isn't he, Eddie Hearn? And we took everything back, and it's all back here, So, that's kind of the thing. If Warrington can go on and beat Stevenson, then DAZN are going to have some big fights going forward. I don't know if you saw it, but Gary Russell instantly messaged Eddie Hearn saying, "I'm ready, let's do it." Obviously in relation to Warrington signing over. There were initial talks before, and also Russell said, if Al promised me the Santa Cruz fight, and if I don't get it, I will explore my other options elsewhere. So maybe this will lead to that. But I think the fight we will get is Kanju.
I think.
Wait. First, you said you think we get the Shakur fight in summer.
No. I'm just saying. I think that fight can get made, but I think the fight we will get is Kanju.
Oh, so you think we do not get Josh Warrington, Shakur Stevenson next after the Mariaga date in March? We don't get Shakur's next fight isn't Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington's next fight is not Shakur Stevenson. Is what you're thinking?
I don't know. Eddie said today within the next 2 weeks. He's been contacted by Bob Arum regarding the Stevenson fight, Kanzu's representatives, and Gary Russell's DM'd him and said, "Call me, and we're ready to go," and this and the other. So Eddie said, in 2 weeks from Eddie can probably turn into 3, maybe 4, because it's trying to get people.
I understand, but what do you think? What's
I think we get the Kanji fight. I think that's my opinion. What we'll get, and I love that fight. I think it's a great fight. But
that's a good fight. But to reiterate, you don't think we get Josh Warrington, Shakur Stevenson next. I agree with that. I don't think we get them next. I don't agree it's True Shan, though, even though that would be a really fun fight. That would be, in terms of just pure aesthetic entertainment value.
Warrington said, you could book this rugby stadium if you want, but you could put that in a phone box.
Yeah, I think we get Kid Galahad rematch next, because that seems to where that he's a mandatory. Both guys talking about it in the media right now. That just seems where they are heading. Gary, thoughts on Josh Warrington's move to Matchroom Boxing, what it means for Shakur Stevenson fight, because that was talked about for months, what it could mean for Josh Warrington's long-term future. Thoughts?
I think at first, when Shakur Stevenson said, "Now we're closer," like, well, how are we closer? Right? I don't know that we're necessarily closer, but I think, and I don't know next, we will get Stevenson versus Warrington in 2020. It will happen this year. I'm pretty confident of that, right? Because it's a big fight for both guys. And Bob Arum seems to be at the point where it's like, is this a big money fight for me today, for my guy? I can cash in on this today? All right. Whatever. I'm 88 years old. I'm not in this for the long haul, which he kind of said in that interview. This is a big money fight? Okay, let's do it. If Warrington loses, whatever. But either way, it's a big money fight for me right now in 2020. And I'm 88 years old, so I'm not worried about 20 years from now. I think this fight will happen next. I don't know, but it'll happen in 2020. And Eddie has worked together with Bob with big fighters. Mm-hmm. Ramirez, Lomachenko. I don't see Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan. They've worked together a lot with big names. Not I'll throw you some low-level B-side, good fighters and names. I think this fight will happen because the money's right.
Quick comment. Can we all agree? Because Rob made those comparisons as well, and I think that they are it's slightly incomparable. All the fights we mentioned, other than Ramirez Hooker is the one that I think it leads credence to your guys' arguments. I will give you that. I'll give you that bone because it's obvious. But Lomachenko Campbell, for example, that fight was obvious that there was no way DAZN was going to get Lomachenko. He's the number 2 guy or the number one guy on Top Rank's table. Like that's just not. You laughed at number 2, didn't you, Rob? Is that what you
Yes, I did. Sorry.
You're so. Get out, Rob. You've been reprimanded today for sure, man. All over the place.
Yeah.
But it was obvious that DAZN had no real leverage to grab Loma. Also, the other fight to mention was Salcedo Hooker. That was a purse bid scenario. So, like, that was a scenario that's quite different than unification, which wouldn't have a purse bid attached to it. So, I mean, that's automatically incomparable to a Shakur Stevenson, Josh Warrington unification. Is it... Who is the ace side in this, so to speak? Like, who is... And obviously this fight, I think, is probably in the UK, right? As it's everyone's been talking about. Even Shakur Stevenson's mentioning, I'll go to the UK, it's offering me the money. But in terms of US TV, who has the leverage there to determine whether it goes to ESPN Plus or to DAZN? Because like Rob said, an easy fix would be Sky Sports pay-per-view, because it would be a UK fight, so it's prime time in the UK, and it would make sense. And it's ESPN Plus in the US. That would make sense. But this fight, this matchup, it's not a Loma Campbell matchup where Shakur Stevenson's the obvious A side in terms of US TV networks. I'm being very specific in my words, people. Please listen to them. Because I know people are going to misinterpret that. So is it as cut and dry, Rob, as you said, that this is ESPN Plus and Sky Sports pay-per-view? Or does Josh Warrington and Matt Truman DAZN have enough leverage to where they do want to argue that no, or negotiate? No, this fight is on DAZN now. You get what I'm saying? Where how like a Loma Campbell
Maybe.
is comparable?
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh Warrington's the clear A side in the fight, but
that's why I specified US TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure on the. I think the Loma thing was he's exclusive to ESPN, and I think that's where the issue fell with that one. So maybe it can be a DAZN fight. I don't know, or whether that will be a sticking point. I don't. Or is Bob the kind of guy like, look, go over to DAZN, I'll back you. Come back with those bouts, and we'll make some big fights. He's talking about moving up after anyway, which is 130, where he's got Herring in or Frampton, those kind of who else is over there 130 on Top Rank? I can't remember, but oh yeah, Butchat. So yeah, so is it a big deal for Bob to lose Shakur for one fight? Maybe because it's a unification. I don't know. Maybe he really felt he was going to get that fight when it was under negotiations with Warren. He was going to be getting that fight on ESPN Plus. Now Eddie's snaffled up Warrington again. Does that then change things slightly? But apparently Bob reached out. I think it was even mentioned on a boxing scene, or whether it was a quote, but he said, I'll happily work with Eddie on making the Shakur Warrington fight. Whether that's happily because I want it on my network, or I don't know.
No, I thought it would be on DAZN because they can pay way more. They're willing to pay way, not that they can. I mean, ESPN could pay more if they wanted to, but they're not gonna, right? Like DAZN will throw a ridiculous amount of money at it, and they'll get the fight. And Bob Arum, okay, fine, that looks like a lot of money to me. I don't care. Let's do it on DAZN. I was thinking that this was going to be a DAZN fight, and then obviously Sky Sports pay-per-view in the UK. That was like kind of what I was thinking. I'm thinking it's going to be DAZN in the US, not ESPN. Although I understand.
Quickly. Metalbox J in the chat, and Rob, if you can confirm this information he's telling us. He's saying Hearn stated today it would be on ESPN like Loma Campbell, saying like what you said on Boxing Social. I know I really trust Boxing Social as a interviewer and outlet. So if Eddie Hearn is on there saying it on Boxing Social, I 100% believe it. At least that's what Eddie Hearn is saying. I believe that that is that what you're saying is true, Metal Box. But please confirm that if you can, Rob, that there's at least an interview with Eddie Hearn that somewhat the title is addressing that to some degree. I know you probably can't listen to it right now, but I think it will be on ESPN because even though like the DAZN money might come in and that's what might become a sticky issue, Shakur Stevenson's the next guy at Top Rank. In a way, in an obvious sort of promotion, I would say, by Top Rank, clearly over guys like Jose Ramirez. Even like they see Shakur Stevenson the same way Queensberry Promotions looks at Daniel Dubois. That's our potential next golden ticket of our promotional company. And like Rob said, it's his first unification. It's largely speaking his biggest fight. If you're going to send him over to the UK, I assume they're going to try to negotiate. Well, yeah, we're giving you that. We're giving you the location. Give us US TV. Because he's a US fighter. He belongs on US TV. Not some app that's just opened up in the market in the last year.
Yeah, I get that argument. And if Eddie Hearn's saying it's going to be ESPN, that's going to be ESPN. I just thought that the Zone would throw an insane amount of money at it because that's their, they have the rights to Warrington now, and they want to use that. But if Eddie's saying it's going to be on ESPN, I'll take that at his word, and it'll be on ESPN.
And that's good for me.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I think it's good for Shakur Stevenson. I think it's good for the sport. I think that type of fight. I know it's not going to be on regular ESPN, but that type of fight, you almost wish it's on that would be an MSG, the big theater, prime time on US ESPN.
No, after he beats Warrington, then he'll fight McConnell at the Garden. You know that fight's coming. You know it's coming.
No one cares about that except for some Irish Americans in the tri-state area.
But there's a lot of them. I'm telling you, that fight will sell way more tickets than you think it will. I'm telling you, and that's why it's going to get made.
Damn it. Moving on. Unless you guys have anything else to say about Josh Warrington and his future with Matchroom. No, let's talk about.
He also said he's going to the other tick on Warrington's wish list is kind of the big American fight. He wants to, and Eddie's starting to feel like this. There could be not on the same kind of level, but 10 to 20,000 could travel with Warrington, like a kind of a mini Ricky Hatton vibe coming. No, Matt, I'm telling you, they are
not 20, 10. Yeah, high end 10. I was thinking more like 5 to 10, to be honest. And it depends on the location too, like New York, Vegas, because Brits travel to those two places because they.
Yeah, that's he mentioned MSG or Vegas.
You can't put that one in Miami, for example, and hope that 8,000 Brits take that flight to Miami. That's not how it's going to work. Moving on, though, to still on Matchroom and DAZN topic, so to speak. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano bout looks set for April date at Madison Square Garden per The Independent in Ireland and via Eddie Hearn quotes via this article. I think they're looking at I forget the exact dates, April 11th or April 25th. And gosh, that April 25th date. If all the fights that have been rumored for that date actually end up on that date, Rob, box overload, man. I won't be able to contain myself.
Let's hope it's the 11th, because otherwise DAZN will be co-broadcasting on the same day.
What the other part?
Castano, Texera. Or Texera, Castano, I should say. It's been.
Yeah, you're right. That's on that date. They could do it. It's if this one's in New York and the other one's in LA, they're across the country. You could do it, and it doesn't affect ticket sales. It doesn't affect, I would say, viewership as much as many people think as well. Especially since Golden Boy does put their cards on a little bit earlier than other people, so maybe that's a factor. But guys, back to the topic. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano about looks set for April 11th or April 25th for MSG. Thoughts on this women's super fight and it finally happening, I hope.
This is what women's boxing needs. The only problem, April 25th at the Garden, they may have to worry about a next playoff game.
Stop, Gary. That's a good joke.
Trash.
Yeah, I like this.
I like it too. This is exactly what women's boxing needs. A big fight, a 50-50 fight. Are we calling this I think Serrano wins, but we're calling this 50-50.
Wait, you're picking Serrano?
Fucking clown.
Yeah. Do you think she's too small? I know she's one title.
She's just overrated.
I think she's never beat anyone as good as Katie Taylor at 135. So I get a Katie Taylor argument, but I'm picking. So okay, this is a 50-50 fight. All right, good.
You're the only one saying 50-50. I think it's 60-40.
For Katie Taylor?
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty unbiased opinion. I know Rob's more biased.
I'm not biased. I genuinely do not feel. I thought Heather Hardy was supposed to be in like a 80-10, and she made it a 50-50.
No, 50-50 fight. She fought well, but she lost the overwhelming majority of them. She had moments, and she did well for herself, but she wasn't.
Right, Rob, I just want to understand what you said right there, because I don't know if I caught it and understood it. You're saying that for the Serrano-Hardy fight, you view that as like an 80-20 matchup, where like Serrano should just obliterate her and end up being far more competitive than you thought, and therefore going into the Kate Taylor fight, you're like, nah, Kate Taylor can wash her. Devon Pursoon doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, is it a triple threat? What's that got to do with anything?
I'm just saying, like, Kate Taylor's Katie Taylor has been in matchups that were thought to be far easier, and they came out far more competitive than we thought. Like, that does happen in boxing.
Yeah. No, I agree. But Serrano ain't Delphine Pursoon. Come on, she's not just
not that style. No, I'm not saying that she's the same fighter at all.
Trampling forward windmill.
No. But what I'm saying is that Amanda Serrano can absolutely win this fight, possibly. I mean, like, that's not out of the question.
Absolutely win it, possibly, maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
The possibility of her winning is absolute. Yeah. Like, it's not like she has a 0% chance or even a 10% chance. Like, she is I wouldn't even say she's a live dog. I feel like that would be a discredit to her in a way.
Can you say that about women? I don't know if that's allowed.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a term.
Yeah. No, just here, if someone calls a woman a dog, she's a bit ugly.
Yeah, I understand, Rob, but a live dog is very different, Rob.
Yeah. All right.
You ain't get my mentions all messed up from your UK friends, Rob. Okay. Look, I think this fight is fantastic. Like Gary said, I think it's exactly what women's boxing needs. I think it being at MSG and hopefully the main event.
No.
I said hopefully. Rob, don't.
This is the card that is hopefully going to land Pro Grey Hooker. And that would be that's what Eddie wants. Pro Grey Hooker, Taylor, Serrano, and Campbell Fortuna. That would be the card he wants to put on.
All on the same card?
Yar.
Great reference, Rob. I don't know if Gary got the reference, but I like that.
That was also when I sniggered at number 2. Skid marks.
I mean, look. I mean, that's obviously a deep card. Like, let's get that out of the way. That's a great card. It's a deep card. But like, all those fights could be main events on their own in some weird way, and they kind of almost deserve to be. Especially the Pro Grey Hooker. Like, that fight deserves to be in the South, and to be its own main event. And it's the same with Serrano Taylor. Like, that needs to be its main event. That needs to be in the big theater. And if anything, if I'm okay with those fights all being on the same card, but you still make Serrano Taylor the main event. Make Pro Grey Hooker the co-main. Neither guy has a belt. Neither guy's from that area. Make Taylor Serrano the main event of that card.
I was going to ask you that, right? Like, if you make it the co-main, then you kind of bury the lead, so to speak, right? Like, you want to make it, then it can't be in the same. As much as I love that card, you're right. Like, because then you have a Puerto Rican and a Irish woman. I was going to call him an Irishman, an Irish woman fighting each other in Madison Square Garden. That on its own, in the first like big women's fight to lead a fight at the Mecca of boxing, that's got to be the main event. But then you're shorting yourself on
a potential main event in Houston, New Orleans, with Hooker and Pro Grace.
Right. So I mean, as much as I like putting them on the same card, I would put them on different cards.
This is one of the pay-per-view monsters he promised.
And so compared to another deep card that DAZN's putting on just a few weeks from now, the Mike Garcia, Jesse Vargas card. The reason why like that can do that is because like Julio Cesar Martinez isn't a guy that can probably headline his own card. You know what I mean? Like those great co-main and undercard fights there are great for us hardcores. They add depth for us in terms of like substance for the card because we're all hardcores and hipsters here. But for like two main event worthy fights to be connected, you are shorting yourself a little bit. It's great for the consumer, especially if it's like a card that costs money. So for DAZN, like it's good for your dollar amount. That's awesome. If this was free TV, you're ruining yourself, I think, even more so. If this was like Fox or ESPN doing this, it would make less sense in my opinion.
They ain't doing that kind of. a card, no way.
No, come on.
You don't want to boost Plant and Fegan Butts with other great fights there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because that one's so great. You can't ruin it.
Save some of that other stuff for elsewhere.
Exactly. Like, Ugas, Mike Dallas. They can't be on the same card.
Prime example. And, take something that great to, like, I don't know, Bollocksy or whatever it's called.
What is the definition of a hipster again? Says Heath Farley in the chat. Shout out to Heath, great listener and supporter of the show. I mean, obviously everyone has their own opinion. I would say like a hipster is listening to the show. Like if you listen to this show with any regularity, sorry man, you're a boxing hipster. If you know at least one champion in flyweight, super flyweight, and bantamweight, then you're probably a hipster as well. Just one champion. That's all you need to know. The bar for hipsters, I think, predominantly very low. You just need to know lower weight classes to some degree. Not even like a high degree, just some degree.
Ooh, so with name redacted from the name redacted, is he deaf?
No, he's not a hipster, bro. Come on. You were cutting out a lot there, Gary, but no,
Okay, because if you ask him to name a flyweight champion, there's 0% chance he could do that, right? Just, not looking at BoxRec. If I said how much does a flyweight weigh, he has no idea if it's 108, 112, 115, or 118 off the top of the head, right?
No, he doesn't. He couldn't say like 112, Julio Cesar Martinez.
Yeah.
Artem Dalikin. No, he couldn't do that. No. He's too busy ripping off his workers, so he can't do that. I'm in the mood today, guys. I got time.
I like that. Shot fired.
I so wish I had the soundboard fixed, man. God, pissing me off. Moving on, guys. Let's get to speaking of Jose Ramirez, we were talking about him earlier. Mike Koppich reporting sources. Jose Ramirez's unified title defense versus Victor Postal will headline ESPN, not ESPN Plus. I like that. On May 9th in Fresno, California, the city near Ramirez's hometown. Race fought 8 times as a pro. Ramirez Postal was slated for February 1st in China, but was postponed due to coronavirus outbreak. Now, I don't have it up, but Jose Ramirez's manager, Rick Marigan, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, he said this isn't true. It's one of those at this point. We wait till we get like a firm press release and confirmation about this, but I'm largely trusting this news, I would say, guys, because it's Jose Ramirez in Fresno. Like, that makes sense. The date kind of makes sense. It's on ESPN. Like, everything kind of makes sense for this news. So, other than Rick Marigan saying that this isn't true, which I'm inferring is some sort of negotiation tactic for some reason, I think this is real. So, I think we're probably going to get Ramirez Postal May 9th in Fresno, California. Guys, thoughts on Jose Ramirez, Victor Postal, ESPN May 9th in Fresno, California?
I like this fight, and I don't know why you'd push it back 3 months, because now they have to basically start camp over again. I don't know. That seems like a long way to push it back. I wanted to pick Postal. Like, I really wanted to call that upset. And now, like, putting it in Ramirez's hometown, it makes it like another obstacle for me actually to pull that trigger. I like the fight. It's fine. Like, I don't care where you do it, but like, now you're giving Ramirez, and it's fine because Ramirez is a champion. You're giving him another leg up in that fight.
Rob, thoughts on Ramirez Postal, ESPN May?
Yeah, let's just get it done. Let's get it out of the way. And then hasn't he got is it Jack Catterall? Doesn't he have to fulfill his other mandatory?
I want to say you're right, but I want to say I read a report somewhere that they were trying to cut down on the mandatories, like either step aside money or something, so they can make Ramirez Taylor faster. I remember when Taylor was signed, there was some reporting from Mike Coppinger or somebody to that effect. Don't quote me on that. Don't remember fully. But you're right. But I do think that Top Rank is trying to circumvent Jack Catterall to some degree. Similar to, I think, not the IBF Mando, because obviously Josh Taylor's probably going to fight his IBF Mando, but the next one, what's his other belt? WBA?
Yeah.
His WBA Mando, I forget who that was. I think they're trying to circumvent that as well. And they should be able to. I think.
Yeah. You know, providing like one guy gets told you get the win, you know, you fight the winner of this fight next, or
people get step aside money, and you know they said, hey, you can fight the winner, or whatever. Yeah, I think largely speaking, Jack Catterall and I forget again who else is Josh Taylor's mentor on the other side will take that step aside.
Rob, you're not into this fight though. This fight's not of a lot of interest to you.
Ramirez Postal.
Yeah,
I like the fight.
I love the fight. It's a great fight.
I wouldn't say love. I like it. It's a good 7 out of 10.
No, it's not in China. I'm not interested.
It's only if it's in China. Okay.
That should be part of the fight. Watching everyone in the crowd with masks on, and the fighters, you know, trying to, you know.
The problem with this fight, and Rob, jump in there if you would probably agree with me. I think you probably will. Like, this seems like an unnecessary step. I get it's a mandatory, like same with like Taylor, like. But clearly, after we saw Ramirez destroy Maurice Hooker, and we saw the great fight between Taylor and Progress Taylor won, that fight was next. And all these other fights seem like just a sidestep to get to the fight that we want. You know, like we want that big main course steak while they're giving us like these Cobb salads that we really don't care for. That's how I view it. You know, like it's fine. It's a fine salad. It's a fine soup, but it's an appetizer. You know, like it's a sidestep. I want the main course now. I already had 5 other appetizers. I want the main course now.
I get you, and I want it to, but I got to think of the fighter here. You know, Taylor went to war with Prograis. I know he's had some rest, but you know, keep getting in these big fights. You know, it could potentially be another war. I don't know. It's a bit damaging on the career, mind you. Kong Song can crack. He put someone into outer space with one shot. But yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully, he gets through it. By the way, Frank Warren is getting involved with putting that fight on in the UK with.
They're going that way.
Yeah, helping out to put it on in Scotland. I think
goes to show that the whole Frank Warren Top Rank relationship is very much alive.
And none of these guys want that Barrio smoke, right?
Let's get out, Gary. Yes, he doesn't want that. What's his name? Smoke.
Selena Barrios.
No, the Bat Akhmedov.
Yeah.
Yep. Doesn't want that smoke. He got his face broken in, man. I want to relive that nightmare. Moving on. Speaking of reliving,
would you want a world title just to troll you? But forget it. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, come on, Gary. You have more self-respect than me. Keith Idek is reporting that John Pascal versus Badu Jack and Marcus Brown versus Sullivan Barrera card likely for May Network TBD. And again, via Keith Idek and Boxing Scene. Guys, I'm excited to see the rematch between Pascal Jack at all and Brown Barrera. Does that seem like a serviceable light heavyweight fight at this point in time? Guys, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the first, I don't think Pascal Jack is going to give us the best winner, to give us the best fighter in the division, but it's a good fight. The first fight was really entertaining, right? So let's do it again. And let's see if Jack can not start as slowly and win the fight, or if he's going to keep getting nailed. And then Marcus Brown was a guy that I thought had a lot of talent, and then he got stopped cold by Pascal. So this is a good comeback fight. Like let's get him. Barrera will put up resistance. Barrera's a good boxer with some skills, but Brown needs to pass that test and do so with flying colors if he's going to get back to the prospect that we thought he was.
Agreed. And let's hope that Brown stops getting into domestic violence issues with his baby mother. That's just, dude, come on, man. It's been like 4 or 5 cases now. Rob, thoughts on Pascal Jack rematch, the old man rematch, as I'm going to call it, and Brown Barrera obviously fighting as a pseudo contender fight.
Yeah, originally I think when we got the first fight with Pascal and Jack, we were kind of like, but it turned into be like a really good fight. I enjoyed it. Having initially sort of thought, it's not really exciting, but it actually turned out to be a good fight. I'm less so interested in Brown Barrera. I'm not really a fan of that one, but yeah, that's all right. I think it'll end up on Fox rather than Showtime, but we'll see. But yeah, no, it's all right.
What was the first fight on? Was it on Showtime? Pascal Jack?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like that's a Showtime card.
If you read Keith's, he thinks Fox.
I know he does.
That's why I said it.
I know Keith does. I
like that.
do. But that's a Showtime card, man. If I'm calling one, man. Like a semi-redeemable Showtime card, for being quite honest. But moving on, for the sake of time, let's talk about that card that Rob alluded to earlier on April 25th, the Brian Castano, Patrick Teixeira card. Right now, per Steve Kim of ESPN, Sergey Kovalev, who is still in the midst of his assault case, as the case was postponed again. So it's just going to be curious to see what's happening with him. Last I heard, he was back in Russia because he didn't want to deal with the case. So God knows what's happening with Sergey Kovalev. But he's been attached to this card in April. And also, Rene Alvarado attached to this card. So definitely going to be a card that I will have to probably make the trip out to Indio, California, the location that's allegedly going to be at. Just because, hey, Rene Alvarado, Ren Hangmanathan on the card as well, Thailand legend, and overall TBE legend. Teixeira Castano is a fantastic fight, and you have, Kovalev, which is obviously a downgrade to everything else. But hey, it is what it is. Guys, thoughts on this Golden Boy card allegedly on April 25th? Not allegedly, just reported, rumored, April 25th, Indio, California, with Teixeira Castano, Kovalev, Wen Hangmanathan, and Rene Alvarado all fighting on this card. Gary, jump in.
Yeah, no, it's a great. Everything about this card is good, right? Except for Kovalev. But let's put Kovalev to the side, right? Let's just put him out with the trash. Manathan is great. Rene Alvarado, I don't think Rene Alvarado is that good, but his fights are always fun to watch. And you put that one on before the Manathan fight, you get the crowd into it, right? Because his fights are going to be all action. It's going to be a fun fight. I don't even know who he's fighting. Doesn't matter who he's fighting. It's going to be a fun fight. So that'll get the crowd going. Then you get Manathan, which you get to see, one of the great small guys. And then you get what I think is going to be an all-action main event, which might be predominantly one-sided, but it's going to be a fun kind of one-sided action, like a competitive one-sided fight, which Castano kind of blows him out, but eats some shots in return too. So I think that card's a good win, and it's good for Golden Boy because they need a good card.
Too bad their next superstar, Hector Tanahara, isn't on the card.
Well, they should bring him back and have him headline a card against Linares in San Antonio.
That's not happening. Sorry. Rob, thoughts on this Golden Boy? Surprisingly deep. I mean, this is probably the deepest card Golden Boy's put on in years. It feels like that. I mean,
let me address that real quick. I want to, Tanahara and Josh Franco and Tristan Calcruth, those guys who might have a future. Shouldn't they be on this card? Because a lot of eyes are going to be on the card compared to your other.
I guarantee some of those prospects will be, Gary. I mean, the card's obviously a few months away, so those prospects, they're always training, and they know ahead of time that they're fighting on cards before we do, let's be honest. Hell, I mean, I remember when Ammo Williams won his fight at the Forum on, which card was that? It must have been the Rungsby started 2 card.
Yeah.
Right? He came out and already knew what date he was going to fight on. After his fight. He was told, you're fighting on this date. So, fighters know way ahead of time, especially prospects, the high-level prospects, what cards they're going to be attached to before the fights actually get, lined up for them, and it gets official.
Right. Well, I'm being told Omar Juarez is fighting on April 11th in that Minnesota card that Jamal James is fighting Delarme on.
Oh, really?
Unofficially, yeah.
Hey, shout out to Omar Juarez. But yeah, digressing. I think that you're going to see Tristan Calcruth or one of those guys definitely on this card. Absolutely. And if Kovalev is making that move up to cruiserweight, I would not be surprised if they put Tristan Calcruth as hey, could we have Kovalev Calcruth next? Even though that's just not going to happen and not feasible, but that's what Golden Boy does. Rob, I know Gary rudely interrupted you before you can have your opinions here.
I had an opinion and then I forgot it.
Yeah, I mean, are you excited for this card? Are these fights entertaining to you? Is this the depth of this card interesting to you at all in terms of Golden Boy and actually having the card depth for once?
Yeah, no. If Box Nation get it, I'll. Yeah, no. It's always like that's the thing. Sometimes you're like, well, maybe these names aren't so well known, and you're like, what the fuck's that? But quite often the fights like that are sometimes the best fights on the card, or really, really good fights. So, yeah, I plan on taking it in and seeing some good action because I want to try and be less like, yeah, we didn't get that fight, so I can't really comment on it, or I saw an Instagram clip, but
You can't do it anymore. Can't do it.
I've got to actually watch this fucking sport.
But come on, you get to share Castano, like Gary said, that should be fucking firefight. Rene Alvarado's always in fun fights. That fight with Cancio in the rematch was a lot of fun. He demolished Cancio.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of those fights where it made me go, oh, shit, maybe Rene is like putting it together now, and he can make a run out in the 130-pound division, really.
That's who Martin J. Ward. I don't know if you saw his fight last weekend.
Yeah, he looked really good.
That's who he wants to fight.
Ooh,
Alvarado. So that'd be a fun fight.
I would love that fight.
Martin J. Ward looks on point, right? Look good. But got back behind his boxing. Look good.
It would be a good style matchup between those two for sure. And then you have, Wenheng Menathan. He's a legend. I think it's gonna be interesting to see him finally on like TV for us. Because I don't think he has a single fight since he's been with Golden Boy that's been streamed on DAZN or on Facebook Watch for them. Like nothing. It's always been he's still in Thailand doing his thing.
Look at that. Golden Boy and TBE working together. Brilliant.
You'd love to see it.
You'd love to see it.
Moving on. Gilberto Ramirez, Eudalio Alvarez, eliminator heads to purse bid, writes Jake Donovan, as Gilberto Ramirez seems to be very difficult in this process. WO is just putting up a purse bid. I'm excited for this because I'm curious to see who bids for this fight. Since Ramirez has been a guy that's been going to every promoter asking them to pick him up, now we're going to see who does actually bid for a Ramirez fight, and actually a good Ramirez fight against Eudalio Alvarez, two former champions. Guys, thoughts on this fight going to purse bid? Thoughts on, do we see any weird potential bidders, like a Matchroom come in here, or a K2, or Golden Boy, or does somebody else come in here and try to shake up this fight?
I've got a conspiracy theory.
Ooh, tell me.
Does Gilberto Ramirez get the call from the Canelo camp because the Brits are dragging their heels? He wants away from his ESPN deal. All Mexico. No,
not yet. I if he had a belt, maybe.
True, yeah, that is his one lack, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening with this. I think apparently Eddie Hearn sat with Gilberto Ramirez at the Miami card and discussions, and by all accounts, he was asking for a ridiculous amount of money. So I just wondered if the Canelo money was that ridiculous amount of money that he's after. So yeah, I don't know. I guess purse bids will find out. See who comes in. But I could see maybe a Matchroom bidding, or a DAZN fueled Matchroom bid, if you know what I mean. Depends. I'm not sure.
Matthew bringing up Samson's boxing a la PBC. I mean, they could definitely jump in here. I mean, they didn't do well in the last bid, but
yeah, why bid if you can't afford it? Fuck out of here.
Yeah. But I could definitely see PBC trying to bid. Maybe TGB Promotions. I can see that.
By the way, if you want TGB Promotions email, just go and check Jamal Charlo's feed, putting out his VADA results just to have a go back at Andrade. He left everybody's contact details on the top of the VADA list. That
I wanted to. I think I don't know if they're going to get it, but I think DAZN, a Matchroom, is going to make a serious play to get this fight because they want Ramirez. And you said Ramirez. The rumor is that Ramirez asked for an absurd amount of money. But if you were negotiating with DAZN and Eddie Hearn, wouldn't you ask for a ridiculous amount of money? Because I don't even know what's ridiculous anymore. Right? I mean, they pay everyone a ridiculous amount of money.
Well, yeah. Broner 1 in 20 to fight Haney. That's
What did
I don't know.
I know we didn't hear any numbers because it was Arizona and their bullshit commission. But Jacobs Chavez, what did they make for that? Do we remember that at all? Like rumored purses for that?
Didn't Chavez get like 3 million and had to give Jacobs one of them?
Yes. Yes. No, you're right about that. Yes. Yeah. You're 100% right about that.
Was it 3?
Yes. No, you're right about the 3 million. I just forget what Jacobs was. But if I'm Gilberto Ramirez, I'm probably looking around that amount. That 1 to 3 million for sure, guaranteed every fight, absolutely. And then with certain fights, you have clauses in your contract. If I fight Canelo, my pay jumps up. If I fight whoever, my pay jumps up.
Do you think someone says we'll give you that, providing you actually fight a live body, like an actual really good opponent?
To be fair, though, Rob, Top Rank had no one for him at 168. They literally only
then
had
he moved up to 175, and then he didn't get nothing going on anyway. But apparently by then he wanted out anyway. So whether he wasn't getting what he wanted, I don't know. But
and to give him a bone if I can, I guess. But like when he came up to 175, a lot of movement was happening but with the 175-pound champions. Bivol was moving back and forth. Beterbiev was moving back and forth from networks. There was a lot of network movement at the top of 175 in the last 2 years.
Is he someone everyone's going to want a piece of, though? Is he?
Ramirez? He's one of those guys that, like, with the Canelo fight, like you brought up, it would make sense. Like, it would be a possibility.
He's a ticket seller locally, right?
Is he? No, I don't think so.
I thought he always sold quite a good amount of tickets in a certain part of LA or something.
No.
You're talking about?
Yes.
I thought I know about
He was a casino fighter, for sure.
Or am I thinking of Ramirez or something like that? Isn't someone? I thought there was someone that was a decent.
You're thinking about Jose Ramirez. You're thinking about Jose Ramirez.
Oh, okay.
Because Jose Ramirez is a big ticket draw in terms of just pure numbers, not revenue, in Fresno.
Oh, okay. No, that's it. Yeah. Okay.
And that's about 5 hours north of LA.
Okay. But so yeah, is Zerdo really going to be having all these entities come in and try and win this fight?
I think every entity that doesn't have that belt on paper might, because this is seemingly a top rank sort of monopolized tournament for that belt, right? I would argue. I could definitely see, again, Matchroom, Golden Boy, someone jump in here and try to pick up the fight and try to pick up, again, that version of the light heavyweight belt. Because it's not really about picking up Ramirez, it's about picking up the belt eventually. Like, that's the long-term play. I want a piece of the 175-pound division. And I 100% see the big promoters that have the money to spend trying to add another piece to their belt if they can, or another piece to their portfolio, so to speak. But moving on, Mike Coppinger saying sources heavyweight contender Oscar Rivas has signed a multi-fight deal with Top Rank to compete exclusively on ESPN platforms in the U.S. Canadian promoter Yavon Mitchell remains involved. TR heavyweight stable includes Tyson Fury, Jared Miller, Kubat Pulev, Carlos Takam, and now Rivas. And Top Rank confirming this, I think it was today or yesterday. Maybe it was yesterday. Forget. But they confirmed this news. Guys, thoughts on Oscar Rivas signing to Top Rank? Top Rank, grabbing a lot of heavyweight pieces on the board. Thoughts about that?
First,
Gary?
Cop is wrong about that. Carlos Takam fights on February 28th, and he signed to Starbucks. So, just as a matter of fact, Coppinger is wrong. But I mean, it's another name. I mean, they desperately need to build their heavyweight stable. Rivas is an opponent, like he's a fair opponent. I mean, he should lose to all the really good guys, but it's fine. Like it's someone you build your stable with.
Agreed. He's a good, top 10 to 20 range fighter that is good to build up cards, good as a B-side guy, and will produce fun action fights. Rob, thoughts?
Yeah.
Also, sorry, quickly, if you can, I know you're always on this beat. Like, do you remember who else was sort of really going after his services? I know Matchroom, there was a deal with Matchroom, but was it just a Matchroom and Top Rank race?
It seemed to be. There was initial talks. Matchroom came out. Matchroom were trying to get his signature, and then the guy reporting everything said it kind of all fell apart. The negotiation. I don't know whether it was down with Rivas wanting another crack at Dillian White and whether that couldn't be promised. I'm not sure. But yeah, then Top Rank come in, and this seemed to take ages as well, trying to secure the signature with Rivas. But yeah, so I think it's a good signing. He looks a good fighter. You know, he's maybe not elite or anything just yet, but certainly a solid opponent for someone. But yeah, we'll see if we see like the likes of a Miller and Rivas and Takam, and I think Takam can still, as he's only with a smaller time promotion, I think Top Rank are going to be using him.
Yeah, Leonard Sterling, resident scholar in the chat, because he reads everything when it comes to boxing news, is saying that Carlos Takam has a co-promotion deal with Top Rank. Gary, shots fired at you. Matter of fact, Gary, face can't see me.
I would argue that, but it was Leonard Sterling, so I'm gonna accept that as truth.
Because it's Leonard. If it was anyone else,
fact.
Yeah, it's Leonard Sterling, so
Leonard Sterling stamp.
But I want to say he's right. I want to say I remember that Top Rank had some sort of co-promotional deal with him, especially with what's his name now in jail, right? Like at Star Boxing, what can they do? Oh no, sorry, I was mixing up people here. I'm sorry, guys. Mixing up tri-state area.
Greg Cohen.
My bad, guys.
Yeah.
Mixed up DeGuardia and Greg Cohen. My bad.
Yeah, just put that. Do you want to put the ticker little thing going across that?
My bad.
Yeah. Greg Cohen's out of Jersey or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 10 promotional companies out
of E-Wing right now, right?
He's
out of the pen right now, man.
Yeah, the West Wing.
Paul is fighting February 28th on the Cletus Selden card. That's
Imagine that, the Cletus Selden card.
Cletus Selden's back.
Yeah, can't wait, man.
Moving on, last topic of the day, guys, and then let's get out of here. Ivan Redcash, his suspension is largely gone. New York State Athletic Commission, per Thomas Hauser, has rolled back their suspension of a full year to 6 months and have given back his full purse. So that is fantastic news, because, look, I get that he bit the dude and, like, you can't do that and he should be punished, but getting fined your entire purse and getting suspended for a whole year for that, when people take PDs and get suspended for 90 days or 6 months, just doesn't make sense. Or hell, fighters that abuse women have no actual recourse from the commission, even though that would happen in any other stick and ball sports. It just made no sense that they would come out so hard against Ivan Redcash. I'm glad to see that pushback from a journalist like Thomas Hauser with his clout, and also I think just the public on whole really came at the New York State Athletic Commission. They sort of overturned their decision on the suspension of Ivan Redcash to a large degree. Guys, thoughts on Ivan Redcash getting back his full purse and the New York State Athletic Commission restricting, or I should say, rolling back their suspension from 1 year to 6 months?
It's good, right? I mean, look, what Redcash did was ridiculous. It was silly and absurd. He still went in and fought. He took a beating. He put his life on the line, which I don't mean that softly, right? I don't mean that lightly. Like, we've seen tragedies in the ring, and he went through that. He went through camp. He didn't quit, right? Like, if you wanted to fine him 10 grand, or what was his price?
The actual fine now is just 10 grand and a 6 month suspension, which I think is completely fine.
I still think 6 months. I mean, I guess like any less than 6 months isn't a real suspension, because they only fight twice a year. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm just glad the guy got his purse, because like what he did was absurd and silly and ridiculous, but it didn't alter the fight in any way. Like, Danny Garcia didn't really even complain about it. It didn't look like a Mike Tyson bite where he took a chunk of his ear off. And I'm not justifying what he did, but the guy deserves to get paid minus a fine.
Agree. Rob?
Finally, sanity failed. That was just like, wait, so he's not getting anything from this fight other than his fucking ass kicked? Fuck that. No, you can't, Yeah, he didn't really bite him. He just kind of rested his big ass teeth on his fucking shoulder. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
his teeth on his shoulder.
Yeah, he didn't right. Bite him. And by the way, when Danny said that,
Quickly, I didn't punch you. My fist just rested on your face.
Yeah, you fell into my fist. Trip, fell, landing on his. Never mind.
I got it.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't bump that. What was I gonna say? Yeah, no, he got his ass kicked. Yeah, he done something a little stupid, but can't take his entire purse. Plus, was it $10,000 or something?
Yeah, added $10,000 fine, and then a year.
So yeah, give us that. And what else have you got? What's your car worth? Give me the key. Like, now get out of our state. It's like, fucking hell, Jesus. So yeah, glad he's got his money. And what was it? A 6-month ban? 6 month. So he can't fight in New York for 6 months.
Well, any state. I mean, you can technically commission shop, but once the state suspends you, it would be illegal to.
Or you can go to Arizona. Cool.
Because the reason why Arizona did it, because there was the temporary suspension. That was their loophole, right? Is the temporary suspension.
Yeah.
There's no temporary suspension there. Like, he is suspended. So no state that has a commission can have him fight. He can fight technically on reservations and states that don't have commissions.
Or out of the country. Yeah.
Or out of the country technically. But usually UCAD will respect state commissions here and vice versa.
The way it works is you get to pick the commission, right? So I want to go to Texas because they'll approve anyone to fight. You know what I'm saying? But once you pick a state, like, you're kind of locked into their decision, which is why they pick Texas. If Texas says no, you can't fight in any of the other 49 states. You know what I'm saying? Which is why they pick Texas, because Texas says yes.
I think it's like 47 states at this point that have commissions.
Oregon doesn't have a commission, right? Oregon?
I don't remember exactly, but there's some Midwest states, so like Montana, Idaho. One of them doesn't have a commission. I think Alaska doesn't have a commission. Like Wisconsin doesn't have a commission. There's a few, and obviously, again, all Indian reservations, all Native American reservations have their own jurisdiction, own sovereignty. So you can fight there. That's why you were here like in MMA often. You go fight on the reservation because like anything goes on the reservation in terms of regulation.
What you just said, sovereignty, I thought of that George Bush clip where he tries to explain. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
I didn't listen to you. I'm sorry.
When you just said they have their own sovereignty, the Native American, the reservations, I just thought of that George Bush clip where he tries to. Anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, and you have 2 minutes for a good laugh. Go Google George W. Bush, sovereignty, Native American, and you.
Another one that's great to look up is George W. Bush and Saddam Hussein killing all the Mandelas, aka Nelson Mandela, because George W. Bush thought Nelson Mandela was a tribe of people in Iraq, and he thought Saddam Hussein killed them all. That was the president of the United States. By the way, Nelson Mandela was alive at the time. I want to say he was even still the president of South Africa. I might be wrong about that, but I know he was definitely still alive, obviously. Gary, do you remember that?
I don't remember, but now I'm going to go look into that.
It is the greatest thing you can ever watch in your life, Gary. No bullshit. That is the best thing I have ever heard, ever. Not the sound of my kid being born. No, George W. Bush going, and he killed all the Mandelas. As he's trying to like when you have a presentation at school and you had no idea what the presentation was about and you started talking.
Yeah.
It's that, man. It is.
Or a book you can read. Exactly. Yeah.
Man, so bad. So bad. Guys, any last thoughts on today's show? We're going to head out of here. It's been fantastic talking to you guys, obviously, Rob and Gary, and I hope all of you guys out there listening enjoyed the show as well. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR on all social media platforms. Gary, Rob, last thoughts and goodbyes. Rob, go first.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll hear more on the Canelo offers and see what's going on. as we get closer to May 2nd, each and every day with no announcement. So yeah, seems to be quite a bit of work to do before we even find an opponent that's gonna take it. But hopefully more news will come out. I'm sure the Athletic and all those guys are on the case. Yeah, Josh Warrington back with Sky and Matchroom. Let's see if Eddie can deliver on the promise of a big unification and American fight. Yeah, and obviously Joshua looking to land in a big UK stadium in London. So yeah, waiting on those. It just seems like the year's just waiting to really finally take shape, or the first 6 months, right? So there's still more announcements to come. Press conference tomorrow for Josh Kelly, Avanesian. We'll find out who else is on that card. Hopefully we see like a Buatsi or those kind of guys. So yeah, hit that thumbs up, share the show, as you can see on the screen, at UKRobMCR, Instagram and Twitter. Catch you on the next one.
Gary?
We have again, I think this is a fairly decent weekend of boxing. I think we got 2 pretty good cards, and then we're only a week away from the big one, Wilder and Fury. Well, Matt, are we gonna do a reaction show to the Caleb Plant fight, or is it on Saturday? I know we can't.
Probably not, if I'm being completely honest, Gary.
It's the same though, right? Because it's Caleb Plant. Like, I mean, I think Caleb Plant's a special talent, and it's like this fight is so utterly ridiculous. But it's gonna be good to see Caleb Plant. Like, it's just it's like when Kobe Bryant would play the Knicks. Okay, well, we still get to see Kobe. It's just he has to play against a trash team.
By the way, I don't have the video up. I'm trying to find the video, but I have the exact quote from Reuters about George W. Bush. Quote, I heard somebody say, where's Mandela? Well, Mandela's dead because Saddam Hussein killed all the Mandelas. Again, Nelson Mandela, the person that got rid of apartheid in South Africa, a hero and a legend amongst all of human history, was alive at the time. And none of that made sense because he's an idiot.
We'll leave it at that. From Texas to the world, thank you. God bless.
Have a great day. Peace.